Imagine loving someone with every fiber of your being, giving them your heart entirely, only to realize they barely notice it. Every smile you share, every word, every touch seems invisible. And yet, your heart keeps reaching, hoping, waiting, while they drift farther away. That pain, that ache, is not a flaw in you. It's a signal, a wake-up call that your love deserves recognition, respect, and reciprocity. Love is one of the most powerful forces humans experience, yet it is also one of the most fragile. To give love freely, openly, and honestly is a rare gift. But giving that gift to someone who cannot recognize or value it is a subtle form of emotional exhaustion. It's like pouring water into a cracked cup. It never fills, and eventually, you feel drained, frustrated, and unseen. The first step in reclaiming your energy is recognizing the truth. Your love is valuable. Not everyone is capable of appreciating it, and that's not your fault. Many people operate from a place of emotional limitation. They cannot see depth when it's offered freely. They cannot feel gratitude when it comes naturally, and they may not even understand what real care looks like. The human mind is wired to seek validation from relationships, especially romantic ones. When someone dismisses, ignores, or undervalues your efforts, it triggers a deep psychological response. Your brain experiences a form of cognitive dissonance. You are giving, they are not reciprocating, and your subconscious struggles to reconcile this imbalance. This internal conflict often manifests as confusion, self-doubt, and persistent hope that things will change. Psychologically, this is called the reward anticipation loop. Your brain becomes addicted to small gestures or fleeting moments of attention, even if they're inconsistent or minimal. You hold on to the hope that they will finally see your worth, even when every interaction suggests otherwise. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. Awareness is the first hack. When you understand that your love is being undervalued, you begin to separate your emotions from the other person's inability to respond. It's not a failure of love. It's simply a mismatch in capacity. People cannot give what they do not have emotionally, and trying to force recognition only strengthens the cycle of imbalance. The more you chase someone who cannot appreciate your love, the more your energy is drained, your self-esteem erodes, and your emotional health suffers. Instead of staying trapped in this cycle, psychology suggests redirecting your focus inward, onto self-respect, self-worth, and nurturing connections that reciprocate your energy. Another critical aspect is setting boundaries. Humans naturally want to connect, to give, to share, and love. But when you pour your energy into someone who consistently undervalues it, boundaries act as a protective mechanism. They are not walls, they are shields. They allow you to maintain your emotional integrity while removing yourself from toxic patterns. For example, limiting the amount of attention, time, or effort you give to someone who does not respond in kind helps recalibrate your internal balance. Every time you enforce a boundary, you reinforce the message to yourself: my love is valuable, and I will not allow it to be squandered. This reinforcement is psychologically empowering. It rewires your brain to prioritize self-respect over emotional approval from someone incapable of giving it. One of the most effective ways to stop wasting love on someone who doesn't understand it is to engage in self-validation exercises. Often, people who give love freely to the unappreciative do so because they are seeking validation externally. Learning to validate your own worth, to recognize your qualities and contributions independently, breaks the cycle of dependence on someone else's acknowledgement. Self-reflection exercises, journaling about your achievements and moments of kindness, and mindfulness practices can help your brain recognize that the value of your love exists whether or not it is returned. By internalizing this principle, you release the psychological need for external approval and restore your emotional freedom. Another critical insight comes from understanding the psychology of projection. Often, someone who undervalues your love is projecting their insecurities, fears, or unresolved trauma onto you. They may be emotionally unavailable, distracted, or preoccupied with their own unresolved issues, which prevents them from recognizing or reciprocating genuine care. This has nothing to do with the quality or depth of your love. It is entirely about their capacity to receive it. Accepting this truth allows you to detach emotionally without guilt, understanding that their inability to respond is not a reflection of your worth. Emotional attachment is one of the most powerful forces in human experience. When we love someone deeply, our brain creates a network of associations, chemical reactions, and neural pathways that link that person to feelings of happiness, safety, and reward. It is why thinking about someone can trigger a smile, why memories of them can warm us even in isolation, and why moments of closeness feel electrifying. This attachment is rooted in neurochemistry. Dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin work together to make the presence, or even the thought, of a loved one feel intoxicating. Dopamine rewards us with pleasure when we anticipate connection. Oxytocin deepens bonding during closeness, and serotonin maintains mood balance when all is well. Together, they create a system that makes us seek connection and crave emotional reciprocity. But when love is unreciprocated, this same system can become a source of suffering. The brain's reward pathways, which light up when we receive attention, validation, or affection, remain active even when the other person does not respond in kind. This leads to a kind of neurological frustration. Your mind continues seeking dopamine hits, trying to decode signals, hoping for acknowledgement, even when the evidence shows they are unavailable. This is why heartbreak feels so persistent, why letting go can be incredibly difficult, and why you might find yourself repeatedly reaching for someone who cannot meet you halfway. Psychologists often compare unreciprocated love to an addictive loop. Your brain craves the high of connection, attention, or validation. But when it doesn't come, it experiences withdrawal. This cycle can cause anxiety, obsessive thinking, and emotional exhaustion. The more you invest without retain, the stronger the loop becomes, reinforcing emotional attachment and increasing the difficulty of detachment. Understanding the neurological basis of this process is crucial because it allows you to separate your feelings from the perceived failure of your love. It is not your love that is flawed. It is the mismatch between your brain's attachment system and the other person's capacity to reciprocate. Your brain has been wired to seek connection, but the other person's inability to respond leaves your neurochemistry unfulfilled. The key to breaking this cycle lies in redirecting your brain's attachment mechanisms toward yourself and toward relationships where reciprocity is present. By consciously practicing self-care, seeking rewarding experiences, and reinforcing your own worth, you can create alternative pathways for dopamine and oxytocin, ones that do not rely on someone incapable of valuing your love. This neurological retraining may take time, but it empowers you to reclaim your emotional freedom, understand your worth, and detach with clarity rather than pain. One of the hardest truths in love is realizing that the person you're investing your heart in may never truly recognize or value it. Often, we're blind to the signs until we feel the emotional weight of imbalance, frustration, disappointment, or a quiet ache that grows over time. The first step in reclaiming your energy is recognizing these signals early, before your emotional resources are drained completely. A key indicator is inconsistent attention. If someone only reaches out sporadically, engages when convenient, or disappears emotionally without explanation, they are signaling their limits. Their affection is conditional and reactive, not natural and freely given. This inconsistency creates a cycle of hope and disappointment. Your brain, wired for reward anticipation, clings to the occasional attention as proof that love is possible, while the pattern of neglect continues to undermine your well-being. Another sign is lack of emotional investment. You share your thoughts, fears, and dreams, but receive minimal empathy or engagement in return. Your feelings may be acknowledged superficially, but there's no genuine effort to understand, support, or connect on a deeper level. Love is a two-way street. If you are giving fully while the other party remains distant or detached, the imbalance becomes toxic over time. Unwillingness to prioritize you is also revealing. When a person consistently puts everything else ahead of you, friends, work, hobbies, Without considering your emotional needs, it reflects a lack of commitment to valuing your presence. This does not mean people cannot have busy lives. It means they are unable or unwilling to carve space for your emotional importance. Additionally, avoiding accountability or deflecting responsibility signals emotional immaturity. If conflicts are ignored, your feelings dismissed, or their own shortcomings blamed elsewhere, it shows a refusal to meet you halfway. This resistance prevents true reciprocity from ever developing, no matter how much love you offer. Finally, you feel emotionally drained more than fulfilled. Love should energize, not exhaust. When interactions leave you anxious, doubtful, or longing for more, your emotional system is signaling a mismatch. Your attachment system may still be active, but the relational environment is unable to support it. Recognizing these signs doesn't make you cold or unloving. It makes you aware, protective, and empowered. Awareness is the first step toward reclaiming your love for yourself. When you see that your heart is being invested in someone incapable of appreciating it, you gain the clarity to redirect your energy, honor your value, and seek connections that mirror your depth. Stopping yourself from chasing someone who cannot appreciate your love is as much a mental exercise as it is an emotional one. It requires intention, self-awareness, and consistent practice. The first and most powerful strategy is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean giving up on love. It means acknowledging the reality of the situation. Accept that your efforts, affection, and devotion cannot force recognition or gratitude from someone who is emotionally unavailable. By facing the truth, you stop wasting energy on what could be and begin focusing on what can be, yourself and relationships that offer mutual respect. Next is setting clear boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to isolate yourself, but shields to protect your emotional health. Decide what behavior you will no longer tolerate: constant neglect, emotional unavailability, or dismissiveness, and communicate it if necessary. Boundaries can also be personal, limiting your availability, reducing emotional investment, or consciously withdrawing from interactions that leave you anxious or depleted. Each boundary you enforce reinforces the idea that your love has value and that it will not be squandered on someone incapable of reciprocating it. Another practical strategy is redirecting your focus to yourself. Engage in activities that foster self-esteem, joy, and fulfillment independent of external validation. Pursue hobbies, learn new skills, nurture friendships, and invest in your personal growth. When you create sources of happiness and accomplishment that rely on no one else, you reduce the psychological pull of the reward loop that keeps you chasing unreciprocated affection. Your brain begins to receive dopamine from internal achievements rather than fleeting attention from someone else. Emotional journaling and reflection is also highly effective. Write down your feelings, experiences, and observations about the relationship. Identify patterns, inconsistencies, and moments where your emotional energy was undervalued. This practice externalizes your emotions, helping you process them objectively. It provides clarity and reduces the unconscious compulsion to return to someone who does not meet your emotional needs. Finally, practice gradual detachment through mindful exposure. You don't have to sever all ties abruptly, but slowly create mental and emotional distance. When you notice the urge to seek validation, pause, breathe, and redirect your attention. Visualize your energy as a resource that flows where it is valued, rather than wasted on someone indifferent. Over time, this mindfulness retrains your brain to release attachment to unreciprocated love, allowing you to reclaim emotional freedom and peace. These strategies are not quick fixes. They are a process of rewiring your thoughts, feelings, and habits. But with consistent effort, you shift from chasing someone who cannot appreciate you to embracing the love, respect, and recognition that you rightfully deserve. Every step towards self-prioritization strengthens your resilience, restores your emotional energy, and opens the door to healthier, reciprocal relationships. Letting go of someone who doesn't value your love is rarely easy, but it carries profound long-term psychological benefits that can transform your emotional life. At first, releasing attachment may feel painful, even counterintuitive. You may experience grief, nostalgia, or moments of doubt. These feelings are natural because your brain's reward and attachment systems have been conditioned to seek validation, attention, and emotional connection from that person. But over time, the act of letting go rewires your emotional and cognitive patterns in ways that build resilience, self-worth, and mental clarity. One of the first benefits is emotional liberation. When you stop investing in someone who cannot reciprocate, you free yourself from constant anxiety, overthinking, and emotional exhaustion. You no longer expend energy decoding their behavior, seeking approval, or holding on to hope that never materializes. This liberation allows you to reclaim your time, focus, and emotional energy, resources that can now be directed toward yourself, your passions, and relationships that offer genuine reciprocity. Letting go also promotes enhanced self-esteem and self-respect. When you recognize that your love has intrinsic value and refuse to settle for neglect or indifference, you send a powerful internal message: I am worthy of care, respect, and appreciation. Each act of self-protection reinforces your belief in your own worth, which translates into healthier boundaries, stronger decision-making, and more authentic interactions in the future. Over time, this internal validation becomes more reliable than external affirmation, allowing you to feel secure and confident in your emotional value. Another benefit is psychological clarity and insight. Detachment gives you the mental space to analyze patterns, understand your emotional triggers, and recognize what you truly need in a relationship. By observing your previous investments without judgment, you gain wisdom about compatibility, reciprocity, and healthy relational dynamics. This awareness helps you avoid repeating patterns of emotional overextension or chasing unattainable affection in future relationships. Letting go also enhances emotional resilience. Experiencing unreciprocated love and consciously choosing to release it strengthens your ability to cope with future disappointment or rejection. Your brain learns that while love can be painful, it is not dependent on external validation alone. You become more adaptable, able to maintain balance and inner peace even when relationships fall short of expectations. Finally, letting go creates space for genuine connections. Emotional energy previously spent chasing someone incapable of valuing it is now available for people who can reciprocate your affection. Friendships, family bonds, and romantic relationships flourish when you engage with those who appreciate and respect your heart. You begin attracting the kind of connection that validates your worth naturally, without effort or sacrifice. In essence, letting go is not a loss. It is a strategic, psychologically empowering act. It transforms pain into self-awareness, frustration into clarity, and unreciprocated love into an opportunity for personal growth. The long-term effects are profound. Emotional freedom, resilience, self-worth, and the ability to engage in relationships that truly honor your heart. Sometimes, the lessons of unreciprocated love are easier to understand through stories, realistic examples that mirror our own experiences. Consider Emma, a young woman who devoted years to a partner who rarely acknowledged her efforts. She planned thoughtful surprises, remembered the smallest details about him, and provided unwavering support. Yet, he remained emotionally distant, dismissive, and often preoccupied with his own needs. Emma constantly questioned herself, wondering if she was giving too much or if something was inherently wrong with her. The turning point came when Emma recognized the patterns. She realized that despite all her love and attention, he could not match her emotional investment. Not because her love was insufficient, but because he was incapable of reciprocating. With this awareness, she made a conscious decision to set boundaries, gradually reduce her emotional dependence, and redirect her energy toward herself. She started journaling, focused on her passions, and strengthened her friendships. Slowly, she noticed a transformation. Anxiety lifted, self-confidence increased, and she experienced a profound sense of emotional liberation. Emma's story illustrates a crucial principle. Reclaiming self-worth is not about abandoning love, but about protecting it from misuse. Another example is Rahul, a man who fell for a colleague who subtly took his care for granted. He noticed he was constantly anticipating her moods, adjusting his behavior, and feeling drained after their interactions. The realization that he was investing more than he received prompted him to redirect his attention. He began spending time on hobbies he had neglected, nurtured supportive friendships, and sought environments where his efforts were valued. Within months, he noticed a remarkable shift. His confidence returned. He no longer felt anxious or desperate for approval, and he began attracting relationships that were genuinely reciprocal. These stories highlight an important psychological truth. The act of reclaiming self-worth is both intentional and transformative. It requires recognizing unbalanced dynamics, stepping back with courage, and investing in yourself rather than chasing validation from someone incapable of giving it. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to prioritize emotional reciprocity, creates healthier attachment patterns, and strengthens your resilience against future disappointment. The universality of these examples is key. Almost everyone has experienced, at some point, a situation where their love and effort were undervalued. Relatable case studies offer guidance, hope, and a roadmap, showing that through awareness, boundaries, and self-investment, you can not only recover but flourish. Reclaiming self-worth is the ultimate form of empowerment. It turns past pain into lessons, insecurity into confidence, and unreciprocated love into a profound understanding of your own value. Maintaining emotional independence is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice. Just like physical fitness requires consistent effort, strengthening your emotional resilience and self-worth demands deliberate habits and routines. These exercises help your brain detach from unreciprocated attachments, reduce dependency on external validation, and reinforce your understanding that your love is valuable regardless of others' recognition. One of the most powerful daily practices is mindful reflection. Spend a few minutes each day acknowledging your emotions without judgment. Observe feelings of longing, frustration, or sadness as they arise, and remind yourself that these are natural responses to attachment, not indicators of personal failure. Mindfulness meditation can amplify this effect by allowing you to focus on the present moment, letting go of obsessive thoughts about someone who doesn't value your love, and creating mental clarity. The act of observing emotions rather than reacting to them trains your brain to release emotional dependence gradually. Another essential habit is self-validation exercises. Begin each day by affirming your worth. Repeat statements like "I am deserving of love and respect," or "My feelings have value, and I choose to protect them." Write down achievements, acts of kindness, or moments of resilience. By regularly acknowledging your own contributions and strengths, you reduce the need for external validation and strengthen internal emotional security. Journaling is another highly effective practice. Record interactions, feelings, and thoughts about relationships, noting patterns of imbalance or neglect. Journaling externalizes your emotions, making it easier to process them objectively. Over time, reviewing these entries reinforces awareness, helps identify warning signs of emotional mismatch, and empowers you to make healthier decisions about where and how to invest your love. Engaging in hobbies and personal goals is equally crucial. When your emotional energy is tied to personal growth, creativity, or skill development, your brain receives rewards and satisfaction independent of anyone else's approval. This helps recalibrate your attachment system and ensures that your happiness is not contingent on the acknowledgement of someone incapable of valuing your love. Finally, cultivating supportive relationships reinforces emotional independence. Surround yourself with people who respect and appreciate you. Friends, family, mentors, who provide consistent support without demanding excessive emotional labor. Healthy connections model reciprocity, helping you recalibrate expectations for future romantic relationships and reinforcing that love is not only a gift to others but also a reflection of your worth. Incorporating these exercises into your daily routine gradually rewires your brain, restores emotional balance, and builds resilience against unreciprocated love. Over time, you will find that your thoughts are calmer, your energy feels abundant, and your heart is free to engage in relationships that genuinely honor your affection. Emotional independence is not just a skill. It is a mindset, a lifestyle, and a form of self-love that protects your heart while enabling you to flourish fully.